All right, guys, Fulu coming to you real quick with a commentary. This is kind of crazy that this would happen. Like, and you have to ask yourself, like, what's going on in their what's going on in their world that it would lead to them actually wanting to do something like this, and it just goes to show you, like, okay, well, if they're doing this, then like what is now not off of limits? You know what I mean? So I don't know. I really don't know. And then the thing I don't know is, like, who would want to even pay for OnlyFans when a woman looks like this? But let's get into it. Let's get
Husband and I thought it'd be something.
So, Melissa, tell me just first of all about this page. What made you decide to start an OnlyFans page?
My husband and I thought it'd be something fun to do.
So the fact of the matter is, like, if she said that her husband and I thought it would be something fun to do, basically what that means is that she was bored of her husband, and she felt the compelled to try to search for validation from someone else, like from a lot of thirsty people who may be into the OnlyFans wave. And so this is why she did what she did. And you have to question, okay, like, what, like, why would the husband even encourage her to, like, do something like that?
And we never anticipated that it would ever turn into anything more than something just fun to do.
Now, mind you, she was a cop, and I think the cop, like other cops, got wind that she had an OnlyFans page. And I don't know how they got wind of it, but they got wind that she had one. But the fact of the matter is like, you have to ask yourself, okay, why would she have an OnlyFans page? Why would she need to have that?
Have it?
Yes.
So, at the time you did it, did you ever think, I wonder if the sheriff's department would find it embarrassing if they found out that I had one?
No, I never did, because I was doing it off duty, and it was never anything criminal or, anything that reflected on what I was doing.
Did you ever?
Well, the thing is that since social media is so vast, you can be doing something you can be doing something outside of your job, and it still will have repercussions on your job. For example, like, you have a couple of people, who have been openly racist outside of their job, or have posted openly racist things in their job, outside of their job. And, what happens is, they, like, a couple of days later, they're no longer in a job. So even what you do outside of your job on social media, and OnlyFans is very much social media, can have an effect inside your job.
I think that when you're not at work, that's your time. And a lot of, especially women, are working outside the home. You're working 10 times as hard every day when you go to work. So having private time outside of work is very important.
But you asked for that, though. I mean, again, it just goes to show you that women will never ever be satisfied, and women will always, like, want to have their cake and eat it too, because women ask to work like men, women ask to earn like men, but yet she seems to be complaining about it. Whereas, like, the traditional role of the woman would be, hey, stay at home, look after the house, take care of the house, while the man is doing what he needs to do to build the house, provide for the house. But yet she's still complaining. about what she asked for.
So,
Did you think your coworkers should find out?
no, I really didn't.
They obviously did.
I mean, they're gonna find out. Like, I mean, it's crazy because granted, I would never pay for an OnlyFans account, but hell, I found out like a video model, she's like damn near going on 50. She has an OnlyFans account. I didn't even know, but yet, somehow I found out.
Did any of them say anything to you about it?
No, I never heard anything from anyone until I received a notice of complaint.
What was your reaction when you received that?
I was pretty stunned.
Were you a little disappointed, like, really? Or what was your thought?
Initially, yes, I was like, this doesn't even affect the person that reported it. It doesn't affect my work. It doesn't affect my employees. It doesn't affect the community.
Typical woman not taking accountability. The thing is, it does affect because of the simple fact that, it would be harder to take a person of law enforcement serious if they have an OnlyFans account. Like if they're walking around with an OnlyFans account, it will be much harder to take them serious, like you'll be like, well, this woman has an OnlyFans account. Like, how can we take her like serious in law enforcement,
Did you ever think about applying for secondary employment from the sheriff's department?
No, because it was never started to make money. It just happened to make money.
Okay, so the thing is, and I don't know for sure, but they may be into some of that swinger stuff. And so that's why, they made the OnlyFans account. But at the same time, who knows? I think she probably was looking for another portion of income while getting validation,
The sheriff's department said, it's the one thing that they would say is that you should have at least sought secondary employment because it is a money-making venture on the side. In hindsight, do you think you should have sought secondary employment from them?
No, I don't think that I should have because it really doesn't generate employment income. And
depends. For you, it won't generate employment income because you've already hit the wall. But for a young woman who's in her prime, then probably it will generate employment income, but again, she has to be in her prime.
And there are a lot of individuals throughout the metro area who have what could be considered secondary employment, but it isn't something that gets claimed or reported.
Do you think there's other deputies within the Arapahoe County Sheriff that do secondary employment and just do it and don't get permission for it?
I know that there are.
Did you wonder if I do it, he's just going to deny me?
Honestly, I never even considered putting in for secondary employment, so being denied was never even anything that I had ever considered.
Why did you decide to take the $30,000 and retire?
Because after 28 years in law enforcement and things that I have experienced over my career, I felt that I was only doing a disservice to myself and to my family to stay in the environment that I was in.
I want to highlight something. And I'm not trying to say that a woman shouldn't be in law enforcement, but I do notice that women cops, even when they're off duty and stuff like that, they're very much like, I hate to say it, but they're like, when dealing with like a off-duty cop, they have a stick up their butt, like for the most part, when they're women. You know what I mean? Like, I remember one time I was like buying some shoes and, I was next to a woman and she happened to be an off-duty police officer, and she was just like I hate to say it, but she was just like a total like cold day. And I'm not gonna translate what cold day means, but you probably understand what cold day means. But yeah, that's what she was. And I'm just like, yo, like, what is her problem? Like why is she mad at the world? And it turns out that someone next to me, that when I was buying the shoes, told me that they recognized her in law enforcement in the area. And I said, oh, okay, no wonder she's no wonder she's like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was just like surprised that she was just so, she was just like, yeah, she was like big time like a Jordo.
Myself and to my family to stay in the environment that I was in.
What do you mean by that?
I feel like I had reached a point in my career where I was successful, and I had experienced a lot of good things and bad things over my career as far as calls I handled. I had helped a lot of people, and I felt like I just didn't have any more to give to my career at that point.
If you didn't feel like what you were doing was wrong, why not fight it?
That's getting close to.
Is that something you feel like you can't get into?
This is where you could say, talk about, how you're still being contacted for things that you're posting, and it's at what point do your rights stop?
Okay.
What are your rights off duty, but what are your rights when you're no longer employed?
Can you ask me a question?
Yeah, are you still hearing from people about this?
I am. I still receive communication. I received a cease and desist the other day. I have been gone from the show.
But I want to say something too now that I watched this video. The other problem too is the people who pay, to see this wall-ridden woman on OnlyFans. That's the other issue as well. Because although she said the secondary income was not efficient enough to be considered like a second employment, the fact of the matter is there were still people paying to see this woman. You know what I mean?
Sheriff's office for over 7 weeks, and I still have people trolling my page and trying to control my life, and I'm a private citizen.
People, you mean employees of the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Department?
Correct.
Cease and desist from who for what?
Okay.
Can't say maybe from who, but for what? I mean, on what grounds?
For a photo that had been posted on Twitter. It was not inappropriate, but they felt that it was, and so they reached out.
And that's another thing that women will do, is that they'll think that what they're doing is innocent, but really it's not innocent. And this happens because of the sexual liberation movement. That's the reason why they feel the way they feel. For example, I remember I was scrolling through IG, and there was this one Hotep woman who had a fondness for nudity, and the pictures were provocative. They weren't tasteful at all. They were tasteless, but she said she didn't feel like they were tasteless because of the simple fact, she said her ancestors used to walk around like that, which is completely false.
If you hadn't taken the $30,000 retired, did you feel like That's my best option. They're just going to try and find a way to get rid of me if I stay.
Snap your W-2 and file Fed and state for...
Try and find a way to get rid of me if I stay.
I felt like all of the hard work I had put in over my career there had suddenly been diminished into now a label for something that I did when I wasn't at work.
What label?
I think some people view what I did for fun as being a sex worker, but...
I mean, it is a sex worker. If you're doing provocative things on OnlyFans, you're technically a sex worker. That's the thing. Like, there's no way around it, you know, like, sex worker. And why would you do that for fun anyway?
I'm the same as someone else's neighbor.
And the shame on her husband for, in essence, pimping her out because he's a weak male.
Their friend, mom, daughter. I'm still the same person I was for the 18 months the page existed and nobody knew.
For people that are unaware of OnlyFans page, what is it exactly? To tell people what that is.
It's a website that you can post photos. It can be used by artists. It can be used by teachers. It can be used by any.
Okay. Notice how she left out that the photos are usually 9 times out of 10 provocative. And notice how she's capping and saying that, you know, they can be used by teachers. You will have to be a batshit crazy teacher to use a OnlyFans photo for a lesson or something like that.
But it can also be used to post nude photos.
Did you ever post nude photos?
Yes.
Okay, and see, there's a problem right there. You know, it's not only her that's the problem, it's the husband as well that's the problem. You know, that he would allow her to do this. You know, it's no different from, say, C.R. Russell Wilson. It's no different from that. You know, him allowing her to twerk topless on Instagram and on TikTok and all that, and Gabrielle Union allowed to be topless on TikTok and things like that, and Dwayne Wade not doing anything. It's the same thing with this weak man.
Is it just kind of in your mind trying to be sexy? How would you describe it?
Yes, it was photos that I had shared with my husband over time, and we posted them for fun, and it just ended up becoming more than what we had anticipated. So,
because of feedback, the number of subscribers, or what?
Yes, so somehow it blew up, and
somehow it blew up. Usually when you're on OnlyFans, your intention is to get as many subscribers as you possibly can. And that's the whole reason why you have an OnlyFans. You don't just decide to do it for fun. You have an underlying reason to do it. And usually it's monetary gain.
People appreciated the photos, and
people didn't appreciate them. They were thirsty for them.
Paid money to look at them. And I think it just kind of became something that people got caught up in. And there were stories about it on...
Okay, how do people get caught up when you put them out there for them to look at and pay to see?
The news. And so people started to really look into it, and
Stories about you on the news, or
No,
stories about
just stories
OnlyFans,
about
you mean?
OnlyFans
Okay,
on
got
the
it, yeah.
news, and you know, people earning income, and
What does a subscriber pay?
$10 a month.
And can they, if they pay for that $10, can they make specific request?
They can, yes, and then there's other material that you can pay additional money for if you choose.
So what kind of request would subscribers make for you?
Just, can you wear something this color, or, you know, things like that. Certain poses.
She's capping. They probably made a whole lot of other requests. Guarantee.
Certain things that interested them.
Do subscribers ask you to engage in sex acts?
They can ask for that, sure.
And is that something you participate in?
Not based on their request, just based on interests that my husband and I.
Cap. I guarantee you that what happened is that one subscriber was like, okay, I want to see you and your husband get it on. And then the weak ass husband was like, okay, why not? Let's go ahead and do it.
How many subscribers do you have?
I think right now, probably about 300.
Did you?
And that's the problem right there. Those 300 weak ass men who decided to subscribe to this craziness and this old ass wall-written woman.
Have to change the OnlyFans page once you left the department with a different name, or is it the same that it always was?
The name was changed after it was discovered.
In discussing this, Melissa, do you feel like we're being a bunch of prudes, or do you think maybe there's a legitimate reason to question why the deputy should have an OnlyFans page?
I think that one person's moral opinion should not be applicable across the board. I think that in
Again, the sexual liberation, the feminism talking point, basically.
2022, our society and our interests are very different than they were perhaps for someone who could be offended by it. If you don't want to look at it, don't look at it.
Roughly how much money would you say you earn a month from it?
I don't want to answer that question.
Okay.
Probably because she was getting a pretty penny from all those subscribers and the fact that she probably did and obliged with the acts that they were asking her to do.
The IA investigation was never completed because you guys reached a deal. Do you think that they were going to terminate you no matter what if they completed that IA investigation?
Watch yoga videos ad-free and practice uninterrupted. Try our student plan.
Before I was diagnosed, there was nothing really to worry about. And then when I was diagnosed,
Completed that IA investigation.
In my opinion, yes.
And do you think that would have been fair?
No, absolutely not.
In your mind, is that why it made sense to just say, you know what, I'll take the $30,000 and be done with it?
The $30,000 wasn't all completely related to this. There were a lot of factors, but I did not leave out of shame, and I did not.
That was cap. You left out of shame. You were being forced out to do. Stop the cap.
leave out of embarrassment for the OnlyFans page. I left because it was the right thing for myself and my family. And honestly, the OnlyFans piece was just one part of it.
As I recall, you did have some lines that were kind of teasing lines like, do you think my coworkers know? Do you think that was appropriate?
No one knew what I did. According to OnlyFans, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I worked part-time in a photography situation. So it's a teaser, And it was used to pique interest. But if I have photographer friends that I work with, do they know?
It did pique interest, and obviously people, if your coworkers did find out, knowing that they found out, do you go, maybe I shouldn't have done that teaser, or like, do you think my coworkers know, what would they think?
I was not the one posting the content on my page. I would provide content, or it was content that had already been shot in the past. But the words were just words too.
When you say you weren't posting the content, you mean your husband was posting the content?
Yes.
Or? Okay.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, the husband is a weak man, and the husband bought into the whole sexual liberation thing.
I say, did you have any questions? I thought you were great. Is there anything you guys...
Is there anything that he hasn't asked that you'd like to add?
I was a really good cop.
Okay, like hell you were. If you were a really good cop, you would have been promoted.
And I was a really good leader. And I supported my team. I mentored people. I developed some amazing cops. And I don't want this to be overshadowed. That was all I ever wanted to do. And I worked in this field for 28 years to be a cop. And I don't think that I did anything that should have put me in a position to lose that.
What was your rank when you left, and were you a patrol or were you in the jail?
I was a lieutenant, and I was working in detentions. I had chosen to transfer into detention so that I could promote and have an opportunity to develop successful cops, because a lot of them were struggling when they would go out to patrol. And I had worked in patrol for several years as a deputy and as a supervisor. And there was a big jump in success rates after I had gone in and worked with people in the jail.
So you supervised other deputies at the jail?
Yes, sergeants and deputies and civilians.
Tell me again, just on the whole work-life balance and trying to keep that division, how important is it to you that what you do on your personal side is personal and work is work?
It's very important. And I feel like I have a lot of staff that struggled with that balance. And I always made it very important to express to my team, you have to walk out of here and let that door close behind you and have something else in your life. You can't be a...
I'm pretty sure that something else wasn't OnlyFans.
Cop 24/7. You have to have friends outside of here. You have to have a life outside of here, and you have to find a way to balance the trauma of what we do with good things.
Okay, if you're experiencing trauma in what you do, then maybe you shouldn't be doing it.
Someone said, Melissa, that being a deputy is kind of a public-facing job. And if you have a public-facing job, or at least you're in a big public agency, that you have to be more sensitive to having something like an OnlyFans page. Agree, disagree?
I disagree, because for 18 months it existed, and I was never a different person. And it never came up, and it didn't come up from a citizen.
So help me on the timeline. You said 18 months. So when did you first open it, and then when did the department find out about it?
I don't remember exactly when the page was started, but it was about 18 months before it was discovered. And I had a file full of kudos, great performance evaluations, was receiving requests to participate on several different committees. People were valuing my opinion, respecting my position, and then suddenly I'm a terrible person.
So you officially left, remind me when? Was it November, December?
November.
So it was 18 months. So it's been about 20 months that you've had the page then?
Give or take, yes.
Okay.
And she still has the page. That's the whole thing.
It was really I didn't realize that it had gone 18 months, you're saying, before anybody discovered it.
Correct.
That to you is proof that it really should not have been an issue?
Yes, because during that 18 months, like I said, I was receiving commendations, appreciation, more responsibilities.
Are there jobs that you think it probably wouldn't be wise to have an OnlyFans page?
I guess if you're working in politics, I suppose if there was a senator who had one, but honestly, if she wanted to have one, good on her.
Yep. That feminism, sexual liberation bullshit.
But I'm no one to judge. And people shouldn't judge. Because
Okay, people aren't judging, they're just stating the obvious and stating common sense things.
it really shouldn't matter. It's their private business.
How is it private when people are paying subscriptions and it's on public display?
But as you and I know, politics, we look for dirt. And someone would call that dirt.
Well, there you have it. Sexual liberation and feminism in a nutshell. Can't make this thing up, bro. Really can't make these things up. But anyhow, let me know what y'all think about this. Fuller signing out. Njadama.